Is this the most Jacobite church in Scotland? And if it is, why isn't it Roman Catholic? If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And if you enjoy this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. I often hear people talk about Jacobites being Catholics. But it seems to me that to the extent that it was about religion, in Scotland, Jacobitism was a conflict between during and non-during Protestants. During meaning they'd sworn allegiance to the crown. Non-during meant they didn't. To tell you the story, I'm going to take you to what I reckon must have been the most Jacobite church in the country. This is the entranceway to Old St Paul's Episcopal Church in Edinburgh. Now, I'm going to make an extra video for my Patreon members to discuss the Episcopalian versus the Presbyterian Scottish churches. But let's say that the grandeur of the staircase tells you what Episcopalians were like. The Presbyterian church was plain, simple, all preaching the word, Bible reading and communing directly with God. Episcopalians felt more like Catholics, but post-Reformation. They still had bishops and ritual and prayer books and ceremony and ritual and apostate stuff like music. But most of all, bishops. It was all a wee bit too pomp and ceremony in Church of England, if you ask me. Anyway, this entrance wasn't always like this. The church here started in a loft converted from a wool warehouse. Today, we're just across the road from Waverley Station, but in 1689, Carruthers Close was one of the many cramped alleyways running down from the Royal Mile to the fetid Norloch. In 1688, William of Orange had invaded and seized the throne from the rightful Stuart king. Don't take my word for it. These were the thoughts of Bishop Alexander Rose. Now, with William and Mary on the throne, Presbyterians, who had suffered during the Covenanting years, were now back on top of the national church. Ministers were ordered to pray for the newly, truly Protestant monarchs. Episcopalianism and bishops were to be abolished. Now, 200 Episcopal clergy refused to swear loyalty or pray for the new king and queen, and they were thrown out of their churches. Up in the Royal Mile, Bishop Alexander Rose refused to break his oath to the Stuarts. He would be the last bishop of St Giles Cathedral. It was appropriate that rather than submit, he gathered his flock in an old wool store that would become the first Episcopal Church of Scotland. Bishop Rose held true to the Stuart cause to the end. The story goes that on his deathbed, his final words were toasting King James VIII, the king over the water. Now, whether that's exaggeration or not, he certainly created what must be the most Jacobite church in Scotland. The congregation here faced a steep climb. In 1695, the Act to forbid deprived Episcopal clergy was passed in the Scottish Parliament. Now, that meant that non-juring ministers who didn't pledge an oath to the new monarchs were banned from any sacrament. Having one of these Episcopalian ministers perform your marriage or baptism was a crime. After the 1707 union, things got worse. An oath of allegiance to the new Queen Anne and renunciation of the Stuarts was required from all clergymen. The new London Parliament then passed the Scottish Episcopalians Act 1711. Scottish Episcopals could worship so long as they used the English prayer book and the minister swore loyalty to Queen Anne and prayed for her by name. Now the question was, do you just have Stuart sympathies, or are you a hardcore Jacobite? In 1715, we'd find out. I should say that these are the kind of things that you will find out on my Jacobite tour of Scotland. Now, by the time this goes up, it might be too late to join up with that, but you can come on my big bumper tour of Scotland in September. I'll take you from Hadrian's Wall to the Isle of Skye. We'll stay in great hotels, visit fabulous castles, see beautiful views, and I'll put on a comedy show. To find out about either tour, just click the link top right or in the description below, or email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk. During the 1715 Jacobite uprising, loads of folks at St Paul's, both clergy and lay people, actively supported the Stuart cause. Bishop Rose was getting old in the dog collar, and he wasn't about to learn new tricks. He still refused to recognise the Hanoverian regime. In fact, he issued special prayers for Jacobite prisoners and martyrs, sanctifying the Jacobite cause in the church's devotions. The bishop was also a trustee for King James. I reckon that means the church here was a fundraising centre for the Jacobite cause. Now, they say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'll be honest, I like pineapple, and I've stood under a lot of pine trees and been disappointed. What I'm saying is that Bishop Rose's son John took up arms in the Jacobite cause. Captured at the culminating Battle of Sheriffmuir, he was awaiting his sentence in prison. Now, I made a video about just how many Jacobites were executed at the end of this 1715 uprising. Come back and click the link, or I might leave one at the end. All I'm saying is that St Paul's was a hotbed. Another congregant, Sir David Thrippland, and his son joined up for the Jacobite army in 1715. Young David was captured and locked up in Edinburgh Castle. One day, he saw friendly ladies walking below Castle Rock, and he waved to them. They came back at night, smuggled ropes and blankets to the foot of the wall, which he pulled up with a string. And he and several other Jacobite prisoners climbed down and fled to Fife for safety. Fled to Fife for safety. Here's a phrase you never thought you'd hear me say. Sir David's youngest son, Stuart Thrippland, was born amid the 1715 uprising. This baby grew up to be Dr. Stuart Thrippland, who joined up with Bonnie Prince Charlie in 1745, became a prince's physician-in-chief, and stayed with the army through to Culloden and then exiled to France. I hear that in September 1715 it was local Episcopalians that made an attempt on Edinburgh Castle by stealth. I made a video about that in actual fact. All I'm saying is that these guys were up to their dog collars in it. After the 1715 rising, there was a crackdown on this hotbed of sedition and other non-Jurn Episcopalians. Harassment, imprisonment, fines and surveillance. Bishop Rose was even stripped of a government pension, and his over 60 sedan chair pass was cancelled. The government introduced the Security Act 1716. That meant that all Episcopal clergymen had to register with authorities and swear oaths disavowing James VIII. Preaching without doing this meant fines and property seizure. In 1719, there was another Jacobite uprising, and things got even worse. Non-Jurn Episcopalian ministers were barred from leading more than 9 people in worship. They could be fined up to £100 Scots. Now, £100 back then was a lot of cash. And if you think Edinburgh traffic wardens are busy today, you want to see Presbyterian snitches in the 18th century. Come 1745, they were at it again. I already told you about Dr. Thrippland, but there were loads more. Apparently, it was a member of the St. Paul's congregation who was the first to bring Edinburgh the news of Jacobite victory at the Battle of Preston Pans. He rode furiously up the Canongate with a white cockade in his bonnet shouting, "Victory! Victory!" As Hanoverian troops fled, our unnamed hero helped bar the city gates against the defeated government army, securing the town for the prince. Hurrah! A printer, scholar and publisher called Thomas Ruddiman was keeper of the Advocate Library and one of Edinburgh's leading intellects, but also a devout Episcopalian. So he was a Jacobite then. He and his family were pew holders here at St. Paul's. During the 1745 uprising, his printing press became an instrument of Jacobitism. He published broadsheets and news for Charlie. His press anonymously printed the Caledonian Mercury with Jacobite reports and propaganda. His only son joined the cause, and both were eventually arrested for treasonous publishing, doing time in prison, and only just escaping with their lives. Another member of St. Paul's was watchmaker John Macnaughton. He'd secretly travelled to France under an alias, carrying letters, messages and money for the prince. No surprise that when the prince arrived in these shores, Macnaughton joined the fight. He was one of the ill-fated group to be left behind at Carlisle. When Cumberland's troops took the town, Macnaughton was captured and condemned to death. Now, the story goes that on the way to execution, he was offered a full pardon and even a stipend if he would just grass up his associates. He said no. And he went to the gallows, laying down his life rather than lose his honour. But it wasn't just the lay people associated with his church who got into bother for joining up with the Jacobites. Once the rising began, the Reverend Thomas Drummond and several other clergy set out from here to join Charlie's forces. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for them, they were captured by Hanoverian troops on the way. Arrested and locked up in Stirling Castle for 5 months, this probably saved Drummond's life. Because he wasn't released until 1746, it meant that he missed the battles of Preston Pans and Culloden, and the terrible end that befell many. He certainly fared better than the Reverend Robert Lyon. He was a young Episcopal clergyman who served as a Jacobite regimental chaplain. He was captured in 1746, and despite never bearing arms, convicted of high treason. And he was hanged in Penrith in October 1746, the only Episcopal priest executed in the aftermath of the rebellion. Before his death, Lyon wrote a letter urging his flock to remain true to our holy persecuted mother, the Church of Scotland. Even clergy could pay the ultimate price. As for the Reverend Drummond, as I say, his imprisonment saved him. He came home to minister in Edinburgh. The next year, he wrote a scathing poetic address to John Murray of Broughton, who had been Prince Charles's former secretary. Unlike Macnaughton, who'd gone to the gallows rather than give up his comrades, Broughton turned government informer. Oh, Murray, Murray, once of truth approved, betrayer of thy friends, wrote Drummond. Reverend Drummond continued serving the Episcopal flock and kept Jacobite memories alive in the church. They say that until his death, he never forgot a special prayer for the king over the water in his devotions. Drummond embodied the open secret of St. Paul's. Its altars were tended by those whose political beliefs could cost them their freedom or even their lives. The church here is open every day and you're free to come in. If it wasn't the most Jacobite church in Scotland, then by all means, let me know in the comment section where you think was. Now, I did promise you another story about this period of Jacobite history in Edinburgh, and that's coming up on screen now. If you enjoyed this video, then like it, share it, and watch the next one. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member, or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, Hammy and Dawkins can be lamb alive. Cherry and Rasta.